What is good, everybody, man? Let me know if y'all can hear me in the chat. No PowerPoint, like I usually have today, but we had to get on here, get instant reactions to the breaking news. This has been confirmed by Bethune-Cookman. There are no rumors, no speculation, nothing like that. This is 100% fact. Ed Reed has been named the next head coach at Bethune-Cookman. Um, Bethune-Cookman just put out a tweet after Brett McMurphy broke the news for Action Network today, and it's expected to be finalized in the coming days. And also, Bethune will then release contract information and everything like that. And Kevin, this is 100% real. Bethune-Cookman already put out a tweet, and it is on my page if you're looking for it. Bethune-Cookman has confirmed this news, and I also texted the new SID at Bethune-Cookman, and this thing's confirmed. So just to give y'all some backstory as people roll in, people who um people who kind of want a little bit of backstory. So I was told of a meeting about 2 weeks ago between Ed Reed and Bethune-Cookman, but there wasn't that the person I was talking to said he didn't know if they would have any legs, because the concern was they didn't know if Ed Reed wanted to take on the challenges that would be presented with the Bethune-Cookman job. And so they didn't know if he wanted to deal with all the, let's just be honest, the funding issues, the facility issues. Let's just be honest. Right now, Bethune-Cookman is going to be an extremely large rebuild, to say the least. But the things that the big positive for this for me is it makes Bethune-Cookman extremely interesting in terms of a recruiting spot for especially athletes in Florida. If you remember National Signing Day or early signing day, the biggest concern for Bethune-Cookman was they didn't sign anybody. Me and Scotty came on here. We were going through signings, going through commitments, going through all this stuff for all the different SWAC schools and other FCS schools. Nobody was signing to Bethune-Cookman. Nobody. They didn't land a soul on signing day. And that was an issue because they have so many holes to fill. So the biggest thing is Ed Reed's going to bring an injection of excitement, interest, and also there's a lot of recruits in the state of Florida who are going to listen to him when he calls them, when he knocks on their door, when he recruits them, and that's going to be huge. And like Urban said here, nobody in the SWAC right now has as many connections in the city of Miami, in the area of South Beach, than Ed Reed. He is going to recruit South Florida like nobody else in the SWAC can. Listen, you could say Willie might recruit North Florida well, recruit Georgia a little bit, but Ed Reed's going to have South Florida on lock for the SWAC. I don't think anyone's going to be able to recruit South Florida like Ed Reed because of the connections and the I would say just the cachet he has in South Florida. This was a huge hire, and I didn't support a celebrity hire from Morgan State. They went out and got Damon Wilson, hell of hell of a recruiter, hell of a coach, and that was the move for Morgan. But for Bethune-Cookman, I don't think a normal coach was going to be able to turn this thing around as quickly as someone like Ed Reed. I do think Ed Reed was the move here for Bethune-Cookman. I really do. And he's not going to have a spring season like a Prime did to kind of get on his feet. I think the first season we'll see what it looks like. We'll see how, because he has a lot of catching up to do on the recruiting trail. But the number one thing I always say with celebrity hires or anything like that, I want to see the staff he puts together. He has connections that other coaches might not have. Who is he going to bring along with him? And this hire is new. We don't know who he's going to bring with him. So if you haven't followed Ed Reed, he has been serving as the chief of staff for Miami right now in South Florida, down there in Miami. He's been the chief of staff. He has not served on an on-field coaching role since he was the assistant DB coach for the Buffalo Bills for a season. He knows he's been in college athletics. He's been involved in the behind the scenes. He has a bit of experience like this. So I do think that played a role in Bethune-Cookman trusting him to take over this program right now. But listen, this show is for you guys. Like the stream. Call in number is 701-779-9585. I want to hear your guys' opinion on this hire. Don't know what my monitor over here came on. Apologize for my face being blue. But 701-779-9585. This was a solid hire. And I thought, I will tell y'all, the next best candidate for them, and he did have real interest in the job and he did get interviewed, is Kevin Sumlin. Kevin Sumlin had legit interest in this job. They interviewed him multiple times, extended an offer to Kevin Sumlin as well. So Kevin Sumlin, Ed Reed, as much as Bethune-Cookman got a lot of flack for taking their time on the hire, they had two huge names, huge names that potentially could take that job. With one had major SEC coaching experience, and the other one is an NFL Hall of Famer, is going to bring all the media attention and everything to Bethune-Cookman. 9762, you're live.
What's going on, Blue? This is Chris from Memphis. How you doing tonight?
What's good, man?
Well, look, it's like yeah, I'm going to do that.
Hey, you're gonna have to call back, man. You're breaking up real bad.
Out?
Yeah, you're breaking up.
Okay, I'll try you back a little later.
Okay.
All right.
Real bad. 6864, you're live.
What's going on, Blue?
What's good, man?
Man, this Urban, man. I don't think nobody really understands how huge this hire is. A little history about Ed Reed. We all know he's one of the best safeties to come out of Miami. We already know how much he has relations with many NFL staff. And when he went back to Miami, the University of Miami had him come back because he could relate to the players and recruit all the South Florida recruits, football recruits, to try to stay home. So that's why he was one of the staff members on the Hurricane staff for years. But now he's in Daytona. Man, that is huge. Because like I said before, he can recruit from 305 all the way up to North Central Florida. He can recruit the whole state. And be on the lookout for him in, I would say, 2 years to bring many of those recruits that left the state, that went to, like, Alabama, Florida State, just many recruits that left and went out of state. I wouldn't be surprised if they all come back if he transfers them and gets them back. I mean, be on the lookout, man. That's huge for Bethune-Cookman, man.
I think I love it because, with that division, TC was doing his thing recruiting. Give him his credit. That team's still going to be really good because they've retained a lot of recruits, even though they lost a bunch. Willie with FAMU, they look like they were probably going to be the odds-on favorite for a lot of the media. Alabama State had a little bit of hype with Eddie Robinson being good in his first year. Connell Maynard is a personality. He's going to do what he does. He's going to be competitive.
Right.
I don't know if he could have won, but man, now you add Ed Reed into Bethune-Cookman. With that, the East is going to be a bloodbath when all these coaches get their programs up and running.
Yes. And I wouldn't be surprised if he brings he's going to coach that defense like no tomorrow, So I would say give him 2-3 years. I'm not even going to count this year, but give him 2 years. So let's say by 2025, BCU it can be a potential like juggernaut, because even with what they had now back in the MEAC, they was always defensive first. Now they lost a lot of players and lost a lot of swag as far as they couldn't keep up with the financial side. But I think Ed Reed can change that. And he's able to go down into what we call the mud, which is the inner Miami Central. Go down there to, like just the small inner parts of Pompano Beach, Northwest. Like, I see it. I see it. When I saw this and you reported this, I'm like, There's no way. But it changes the whole dynamics of because like literally he can say right now, okay, well Mario Cristobal, you got all the Miami players. Now those guys got another outlet to go to, and we already know, of course, Miami Hurricanes did not look good this year. They were not well coached on defense, and I believe that can be transitioned into a better defensive position because Ed Reed knows defense. You know what I'm saying? So I think once he gets together his staff, I'm not saying it's going to be no Dion effect, but what I will say is that BCU is now a new image. Go FAMU.
It had to end it with the Rattlers, man. Hey, the Florida Classic though, the Florida Classic is as big as it already is. You Ed Reed versus Willie Simmons next year. Sign me up. I'm coming. Don't worry.
You had to go there, right?
Yeah, that's my last week pick. I haven't picked all my FCS game day travel locations. I'm going to be at the Florida Classic now, easily, no question.
Yeah, that's going to be a different hype now, man. That is going to be a big different hype because you got Willie versus Ed Reed, and I would even say it this. Look. Okay, so let me ask you this: how many wins do you think, just based off of him coming in right now, how many wins would you give him?
What, they had 2 wins last year?
2, and most of their losses were like maybe by a score or 2, because there was a second half team.
I mean, it has to be. If Ed Reed comes to Bethune-Cookman this year and gets them to 5 to 6 wins, that's got to be an A+ year one, right?
I agree.
Based on where that program was.
Yes,
because
they had many losses. Many losses came because of just miscues last year.
Because
so I know he's going to clean that up on defense.
Because I know some people are going to look at Eddie Robinson because that was the most recent kind of first year with no coaching experience, really head coach to come into the SWAC. He got 6, but I think the difficulty of what Ed Reed's going to have to do for Bethune-Cookman is a whole lot more than what Eddie Robb had to deal with. Eddie Robinson,
right?
I mean, the facilities at Alabama State, how much better are they than Bethune's? Significantly, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm giving if he gets to 5-6, man, that's a hell of a start. And then year 2, look out if he can win. Because he's hired December 27th. There's an agreement, so he'll probably officially be named sometime either this week or next week. He's already missed early signing day. It really depends how many wins over these next 2 months. What can he do from the beginning of January to the middle of February when National Signing Day comes? He just has to go get some talent because Kamari Everett graduated, Jalen Jones transferred.
Right.
They have a lot of holes to fill. So his recruiting and his staff building needs to be in overdrive. He's going to have to do so much more with less in a very, very quick amount of time.
So let me ask you this. He can basically, do you think he can still get into the transfer portal? And I'm not going to say make it happen. What I will say is touch up his roster to where it won't ease the pain of what they saw this year, but it will make some key additions to help him in his transition of his beginning year. I'll say it that way. Do you see that?
Yeah, he has an opportunity because here's the misconception, and there was a lot of people who were confused on this. The transfer portal windows aren't for recruiting. All the windows are on is when kids can enter the portal. As long as your name is in the portal before that window ends, you can commit, act like recruit to death if you want. There's no window on when and where you could commit. It's just as long as you're in the portal in those 45 days, you're good. And so Ed Reed's got plenty of opportunity in there's there's like 20, 30,000 kids in the portal, man. The entire
All right, so let me
FCS.
give you this. Watch for a big time flip or a big time recruit come in just on his name alone coming out the transfer portal. Watch for it.
It's
On
gonna
that
happen.
alone, I'm pretty sure it's gonna be a Florida football recruit.
And it should. I think, and a lot of people are asking why this job. I mean, if you're Bethune-Cookman, you probably had nothing to lose. You're probably like, listen, come in here,
Correct.
whatever you want to do, please just do it.
Correct.
Please just help us.
I'm gonna tell you, Bethune was never a bad team. I don't think a lot of people understand how at one point Bethune was a powerhouse. Like that was FAMU's script. So they always they were not real big, but they were real well coached. And Coach Sims always was able to keep that team to a key, like they say, a well-oiled machine. But due to their years and what had went on with their financial capabilities, they fell off, and that's one of the reasons why they followed FAMU, because the MEAC was not just really giving them help as far as additions of money and so on and so forth. So I would say that now, just based off of him alone, that the contributions from the alumni and things of that nature, where I think he's an Under Armour. I don't think he's an Under Armour guy. I think he's either Nike or Adidas, but he's going to have some key additions that's going to help him get in there and going to help him contribute to the mold that team to be. So I'm not going to hold everything up. I'm going to let you have the floor. But I love it. I mean, I'm not a FAMU guy, but I live like 60 miles from Daytona Beach. But as a FAMU guy, Florida native, I'm not even gonna lie to you, man. That's a damn good, great hire, man. Real talk. Damn good, great hire.
Man, I'm pumped for it. Hey, appreciate you calling in, man.
Anytime, brother. And like this stream.
He actually got cut off, but he said like the stream. Definitely do that. Listen, if you want to call in, 701-779-9585. Be on here for a little bit more longer, but this is going to be, I want to see his staff. That's the biggest question. I know the deal was just kind of announced, but until I really want to see one, his OC, and two, who he trusts to run the defense. Because he's probably going to be a little bit hands-on, but I want to see who can he pull anyone from Miami? Is there any former NFL connections that he has that he can bring with him to Bethune to come coach these guys up? And also, do any of the big names that enter the portal for Bethune-Cookman decide to come back because Ed Reed is now the head coach? Because, of course, you saw Amari Hill-Robinson talking about potentially entering the transfer portal because Bethune-Cookman wasn't recruiting well. Does a all-conference DB now decide to stay at Bethune-Cookman, which would be huge because Amari Hill-Robinson is one of the best, I would say, corners in the SWAC. Does he stay because now he has Ed Reed as the head coach? And has he talked to the players yet? Has he been on campus at all? Like, I want to know how involved he's been in terms of already kind of recruiting his roster to stay, and what the selling point was for before, I would say, for whoever was on either the hiring committee or whatever that may be. But FAMU Bethune-Cookman now, man, I can't wait for the Florida Classic this year. That is going to be, even if Bethune-Cookman isn't competing for a SWAC title this year, which they're probably not in year one, but this is just going to be an amazing storyline. You got Willie Simmons and FAMU and doing what they're doing, probably going to be ranked in the FCS top 25, facing Ed Reed and Bethune-Cookman in their first year. I absolutely love it, man. Shout out to Ken Clark, tuned in. It's a great hire for Bethune-Cookman. It's just, I'm so happy that this hire happened, because there's been, I kind of spin it in another way too, because I know there's probably some people in the chat who are from other FCS programs, or this is their first time tuned into the channel, but everyone in the chat who has been here or is a longtime HBCU football fan, SWAC football fan, or been watching the channel since the beginning, this is going to I think this is going to reinvigorate some people who may have lost some of, I would say, their excitement after the whole after the whole prom debacle. I really do think this was kind of like the shot in the arm that some people needed who were getting way too caught up on the negative of prom leaving for Colorado and wondering what the future potentially could be. I really love the fact that this happened because I really do think it's going to keep some of those middle of the road eyes on the SWAC watching FCS HBCU football. And so I think this was a very important hire that Bethune-Cookman made. Let's see. He said, better get your rooms now, Blue. Orlando prices are going to be ridiculous. I might have to book my room right now after the show, Jordan, to be honest. He said, Ed Reed isn't Dion Robinson. Don't want that smoke out like y'all don't know who Ed Reed is. The Classic will be more hype now. I agree. BCU has plenty of time to recruit a good team. Man, plenty of time. It's December 27th. He's a little bit behind. They didn't sign anybody on early signing day. So that might actually be so let me flip it on you guys. That actually might be a good thing. The fact that he has all those open scholarships to fill with players that he and his staff recruit could be priceless because he's not locked into working with any players that another person possibly signed. He gets all those scholarships, all that freedom to build this recruiting class exactly how he wants. There aren't any commitments he has to honor. He doesn't have to pull anyone's scholarships. He doesn't have to do any quote unquote roster management that way. All he has to do is go out here and straight recruit, get on the recruiting trail, and fill as many scholarships and many roster spots as you can. And on top of that, with the new NCAA rules in terms of you're not limited to 25 new scholarships, he can sign up to like 40 players if he needs to. So he has so much flexibility to build the team exactly how he wants. And that could really be that could kind of be a blessing in disguise for this staff, especially if you have a bunch of guys who uh, might not have, a whole bunch of experience like an Ed Reed. I mean, he's been the chief of staff at Miami for anyone who's new to the show. I know there's a lot more people here than when we first started. He was the chief of staff at Miami for multiple years, worked in a kind of off the field role. He's been involved in college athletics. He was also the defensive back coach for the Bills. So he's coached at the NFL level. He's going to be okay. Yeah, I think he's gonna be okay. I'm not worried about him coming in and being completely lost. This isn't just hiring a random dude off the street. You're hiring an NFL Hall of Famer who's been working at a high-level P5 university in the building and upper management, and you're going into a university that honestly is going to need some restructuring at the top level too. So Ed Reed, I think, was the perfect hire. It gives an injection of excitement and energy back into a program that a lot of people were just counting out. Let's be honest. There's 300 plus of you guys in the chat. Nobody was talking about Bethune-Cookman going into 2023. Nobody, unless you were a Bethune-Cookman fan, you were not checking for Bethune-Cookman going into next season. Now you are. Now all the people who might not have been excited about tuning in to watch Bethune-Cookman or watch X game that Bethune-Cookman's in next season, they're going to be tuned in just because Ed Reed is the head coach. So, but HBCU Band Talk, you were a Bethune-Cookman fan. You were a Bethune-Cookman fan outside of you. And so, and I'm not saying he's going to go win the SWAC multiple years. I'm not saying he's going to go win a bunch of championships or the Celebration Bowl or anything. All I'm saying is I think he fits exactly what Bethune-Cookman needed at this exact moment. And I don't think a normal coaching hire would have had the same effect. And I think as long as he surrounds himself with guys who can coach at the highest level, can help him on the recruiting trail and help fill in the holes of where he needs the most help, Ed Reed's going to be just fine at Bethune-Cookman. And on top of that, based on what I've been hearing, they're doing a lot of restructuring about support staff and things like that. I really do think I really do think Bethune-Cookman is going to be better for this hire. And I just got a voicemail from the new SID over at Bethune-Cookman, kind of confirming everything. I'm gonna call him back after. There's no contract details right now. There's no staff hire details. This is completely fresh. We got a blank page after the hire of Ed Reed. He said that more details will be coming out in the next few days about what's kind of went on behind the scenes with this, what the contract negotiations look like, and what was promised and what was all in the negotiations and what they promised them. But I love this hire. Real quickly, man, call the number 701-779-9585. I usually got my ticker, but I was kind of rushing. I don't want to really block the thing down here, but that's the call in number 701-779-9585. Taking all calls tonight. Let's see. The staff is important, but I expect him to recruit the state pretty well, get the talent in the program. He's going to, like Urban said on the first call, he's going to recruit Miami and South Florida like nobody else in the swag. That is going to be where Bethune-Cookman has all their talent coming from. And it's one of the most talent rich states. If you don't really pay attention to recruitment, there are 2 low 3 stars in Florida that could be dominant in some of the other smaller states. It is so deep in terms of athletes that you can get at multiple positions and speed, it, abundant, man. And so I think Ed Reed's going to be able to recruit at a very, very high level. Let's see, how fast do you think he out recruits JSU? I don't think he's going. I don't think it's an immediate turnaround, Jay. I really don't. I don't think it's an immediate turnaround. And I talked about this on the call. I know some people are just now tuning in. I don't think he has as easy as a. I don't think he's stepping into a situation as easy as Eddie Robb did last year for Alabama State. I think he'll recruit well, but it's going to take some time. And with him getting a late start, I expect this first recruiting class to be pretty good. We'll see what he does. I think it'll be a lot of Florida kids. But then if he goes out there year one and does pretty good, develops some really nice talent, he has kind of a basis to recruit on. Because right now you're going to recruit on potential. You're going to recruit depending on who you hire as your staff. You're going to recruit based on the name recognition of Ed Reed. After year one, though, he can start recruiting based on the field performance. As long as he performs well, the recruiting will continue to pick up. I don't expect him to have the number one HBCU class till, I mean, if he has it, let me just say that if he has it, it'll probably be like year 3-ish. I think this is a bigger rebuild than Eddie Robb going to Alabama State, than Prime going to Jackson State. This is a much, much bigger rebuild just because of the behind the scenes stuff. I don't think they're going to have to face as many off the field challenges in terms of support, hiring, the facilities, things like that. I think this is a much harder rebuild, and Ed Reed has a much steeper challenge to face in front of him than Prime and or Eddie Robb or even Dooley stepping into Southern. Or I mean, who else do you want to go? Who else do you want to go for? Bubba McDowell stepping into PV? I don't think that was a super big. I mean, you're stepping into the former SWAC West champs. You're stepping into a 2-win team that was sadly displaced all season long due to hurricanes and things like that. There's a lot of things that you're going to have to build on behind the scenes. But I will say this: the new SID that they hired is a game changer. He's been the single best SID that I've probably worked with across the FCS. He's top 5 SID in the FCS. He's coming into Bethune-Cookman, so I expect him to really, really help with the access, with organizing things, press conferences, and everything like that. And I also expect him to be more. I don't know how to put this. He, I expect him to allow the right people to cover the program and everything, and also put the program in the right positions to promote themselves on social media. And he's a guy who has been at Bethune before, has been at the P5 level as an SID, and on top of that, some of the behind the scenes position they're filling has been solid. So an SID is a sports information director. It's the people who run the websites, control the media access. They put on the coaches shows. They do all the behind the stuff scenes for the program. It's a sports information director, is what an SID is. He said at the BCU fans dusting off their keyboards. The Florida Classic should to determine the SWAC East champion as it should. Kind of jumping the gun there, but I feel you. I really hope he brings some people that he played in the NFL with to be potential position coaches or coordinators. Um, yeah, just person. I would love to see it. I know some people have thrown Ray Lewis out there. I don't know how likely that is, but could you imagine? I mean, just to throw out there, this is all new. I don't have any info on who his staff's going to be. Could you imagine Ed Reed and Ray Lewis on the same staff recruiting Florida? There's just I I don't I wouldn't know what to do with that. That would be insane, just insane if that happened. Yeah, hell, Wildcats, do you think BCU can get some big time transfers at least if we can't get big time recruits? Yes, I do because they're and anyone from Florida can speak to this in the chat too. There's so much talent in Florida that there's a lot of kids from Floridas that go elsewhere for college and just don't work out at the highest level. And so they're in the transfer portal now looking to play closer to home. All these other schools in Florida, the Floridas, the Florida States, the UCFs, the FAUs, the FIUs, the FAMUs, all these schools filled a lot of spots in the early signing period. The only school in Florida right now that didn't sign anybody in early signing day was Bethune-Cookman. They have a lot of open space. They have a lot of potential. I think I personally think that they have a chance to be real. I think this class TD will be big in the transfer portal, and you'll see kind of like a different split in terms of what you see next year. But also, I'm interested to see what Ed Reed's recruiting strategy is. When you ask coaches, they all have different strategies. Fred McNair, way heavier in the JUCO route. Other coaches, they like to go transfer portal. Other coaches, they like to say stick to high school and then fill the dead spaces with transfer portal recruits. So I think it's going to depend on his recruiting policy, and with him being a first year head coach, we don't know what that's going to be. But I do think transfer portal is going to be big this year. TD, the transfer portal big this year. High school will be even bigger next year. And this is another big one because we saw Warren Sapp over with Jackson State for a little while. Warren Sapp as a D-line coach would be stupid. I'll put that out there. That would be ridiculous. Hey, Blue JSU still solos in BSU best year with Ed Reed. Let's see. I'm trying to get to y'all's questions. Also, if you do want to call in, 701-779-9585 is the call-in number. Let's see. BCU doesn't have their own stadium. Do you think Ed Reed will be willing to invest his own pocket money for facilities? I don't know if he'd be willing. It depends on the amount. I guess TD. What is more likely, in my opinion, this is just me spitballing coming off of the top of my head. I think it's more likely that Ed Reed goes out and tries to find businesses, find people he has relationships with to help fund that. I don't expect Ed Reed just to pay out of his own back pocket to build a new stadium or revamp the stadium, but I do think he could leverage connections that he has to I think he'll leverage those connections to help. I don't think he'll pay out of his own pocket though, unless it's a minute amount that they need to make up or something, but I think it's more likely that he just leverages his connections to raise money. Personally, BCU will now be named the BCU Hurricanes. Shout out to Raw Truth. He said this is great news for Bethune-Cookman and the SWAC. I agree with you on that, man. I'm pumped for this hire. I really do. I really love this, man. I'm super excited. I had to come straight on, didn't make a PowerPoint, didn't do anything, man. I just wanted to come on here and talk to you guys, get y'all's opinion on everything. Let's see. I'm trying to find. The SWAT coaches was like, yes, prom's going damn Saturday. So I'm not playing with y'all, man. Listen, y'all can go to my channel. Bethune-Cookman put out a tweet. I'll read the tweet directly to you guys. Let's see, where is it at? From Bethune-Cookman Athletics, verified and everything. It said Bethune-Cookman University Athletics has entered an agreement in principle with Pro Football Hall of Famer Ed Reed to be its 16th head football coach. More information will be forthcoming. Hashtag let's go, hashtag Hell Wildcats, and hashtag pray together. So that is the official tweet from Bethune-Cookman today. And 601, you can call back in. I was just reading the I was just reading the tweet real quick. I'll get to you right now. And it's on ESPN's already broke it, everything. So it looks like it's about as official as it could be. Man, I'll get to PJ on another show, man. I don't want to take away from what's going on here, but I'll talk about PJ on the next live stream. Let's see. There was yeah, the Ravens owner would be a hell of a connection to have. Yeah, it's on the BCU athletic page as well, so you guys can check that out at your earliest convenience, I guess. 7485, you're live.
Hey, what's going on, Blue? It's the Margo from the Jack Sir Retro in the chat.
What's good,
hey,
man?
hey, look, Blue. Hey, we ain't worried about Jackson. We good. But FAMU, that man finna be recruiting all in y'all backyard. So I'ma go ahead and say this here right here, Blue. You can remember I called it. FAMU, BCU, BCU by 40, man. I'm out.
I appreciate you, man. Oh, man. Sir Retro always delivering the classic calls there. BCU by 40 in the Florida Classic, according to Sir Retro. I wish Mr. Campbell's probably at work, but I'm sure he had some thoughts about that one. He said, "Man, BCU ain't beating FAMU for a while." Oh man, I still think JSU and FAMU is going to be on top. Do you think Frank Gorson could hit the portal and join Ed Reed? Possibly. I mean, is that because he's the one at Southern Miss, right? Because he had a stupid bowl game. What was it? The Linden Tree Bowl. He had like 3 touchdowns, 300 something yards. That would be insane. I'll just say if that happened, that would be a huge addition for them. I don't know if Keyshawn Bird has any eligibility left though. He was a solid running back for them. I just don't know. I don't know if he had. Uh, I don't know if he has any eligibility left. I'll have to look after this show. BC is about to be scary with the possible staff he can put together. Going to take a year or two to get his roots into the program. Let's see. If I fall. Oh God, man, you guys are wild. Jackson had 20 players from Florida. At everybody, if I'll say this, unless possibly if you're a West Coast team, you get an excuse. If your school's located in the South and you cannot recruit the state of Florida, it's really, really hard to win at the highest level, especially down here. You have to be able to recruit the state of Florida, Georgia, Texas, even Louisiana. That's going to be the biggest question marks. So Smash, I know you're probably just tuning in. So Bethune-Cookman said no contract details are going to be released at this time. Probably be available sometime later this week. So I would imagine probably sometime toward the end of the week. A lot of the people probably in the office are still on vacation, just kind of getting back, trying to catch up on emails and stuff. I'm sure that will be released sometime later this week, but we'll see. I can't imagine it's going to be, I don't think he's going to be one of the highest paid coaches in the FCS. I would say it's probably an average SWAC coaching contract, but I would imagine that he did probably, if I had to guess, Ed Reed probably negotiated a bigger assistant pool for his staff rather than him, because I don't think it. I don't want to say this because of the recent events surrounding another coach, but I don't think he's super concerned about the money. I think he would rather surround himself with a staff that he could win with, because I think he understands. Because he there's no way he took this job not understanding the financial situation surrounding Bethune-Cookman. There's no way that he just asked for an absolute bag, knowing from Bethune-Cookman. I just can't see that being the case. What's your percentage on him pulling a Dion and winning back to back? I think it's low, Jay. Like I talked about earlier. I think what was happening. I think Jackson State was. I think Jackson State was an easier rebuild than Bethune-Cookman is, and I'm sure Ken and some other guys who are really plugged into Jackson State can vouch for this. Even though Jackson State might not have been winning, the potential was there behind the scenes in terms of Ashley Robinson being the AD that he was, the support staff, the people in the building. Like, the foundation was kind of there in certain aspects to help what transpired at Jackson State. I don't think the same thing. Like, I think that the rebuild at Bethune-Cookman is a lot bigger, to be honest with you. And like Ken put in the chat just a minute ago, like, he don't have the spring season to help him. He's going to have to go in first full season. Let me try to pull up the schedule for Bethune-Cookman real quick. I don't know if it's been released or not yet, but let's see. I'm trying to see if they have it on their site. They don't have it on their official athletic site yet. Let me check out another scheduling app. Let's see if they potentially could have it. This. So for 2023, the only out of conference game that's confirmed is at Memphis. They had an out of conference game at Memphis. Is the only game that's confirmed. They still have some open dates in terms of out of conference games that they're going to have to play. We know that we know what their conference games are probably going to be, but they do have a money game against Memphis on the road. So that's the only game that's really confirmed right now. But I don't see them winning the SWAC next year. I think this is going to be a rebuilding season. Give them year 2, year 3 to somewhat compete. This is a big deal for BCU and the SWAC. Let's get ready for the Eddie Eds. Mr. Campbell, I know you just tuned in. The last caller just said Bethune by 40 this year in the Florida Classic. So I don't know how you feel about that, but he said Bethune by 40. Shouldn't be a schedule out other than the teams that they play. 2023 will be tough, but they can win by simply landing a good quarterback. That's the blueprint. That's the blueprint. Everyone's talked about it. If you got a quarterback that can play, you can win. And right now, Jalen Jones is in the transfer portal. I'm not sure about Walter Simmons. I'll text his dad. I talked to his dad, so I'll shoot him a text and see if he's still there. But I think Simmons can play, and so he potentially could be a quarterback. And also, there's a whole lot of talent in the transfer portal, so he can go get a kid out of JUCO and get a kid out of the transfer portal. And there potentially could be a high school kid that was overlooked. That's a gem from the state of Florida that he can go land to lead the program. Let's go, Eddie. Eddie is going to tell folks that the BCU is the new U. He'll more likely have an Eddie George arc than a prime one. That's fair. Head coach Ed Reed, linebacker coach Ray Lewis. You're gonna have Coach Eddie Robert Jr. said Ed Reed ain't swag. I don't think that's gonna. I don't think that's gonna happen. Definitely get the likes up. Also, probably going to go for 15 more minutes, cut it off at the hour mark. 701-779-9585 is the call-in number. Hit the like button, subscribe if you're not subscribed. We'll have a lot more on this. And listen, so this isn't going to be a situation. If people follow the channel for a while, know what I'm talking about. This is not going to be a situation kind of like Jackson. For me, I have a really, really great relationship with the SID over at Bethune. I'm going to call him after the show. I'm going to try. I'm just going to let y'all know I'm going to try to get the first interview with Ed Reed on this channel as soon as it becomes super official and he gets on campus, he gets settled. I'll keep you guys updated. I'm working behind the scenes to already get that started. So, man, stay tuned for that because I'm going to try to get you guys the real exclusive with Ed Reed. 9606, you're live. 9606, you're live. All right, they can call back in if they want. But man, huge hire here. Oh, we got another caller now. 9606, you're live. Nine 606, you're live. Not happening for him. 6148, you're live.
What's good? This is DJ Raw Truth, man. Good show, brother.
Hey, what's good, man? Appreciate you calling in. Guys, make sure to go subscribe to my guy DJ's channel, man. Does great content over there. Man, what's your thoughts on this, DJ?
It's a great hire because Ed Reed, he played high school in Louisiana, has connections to Louisiana, and he also has connections to Florida. Strong ties with coaches and players still to this day from playing from U of Miami in college. And don't forget, he played for the Baltimore Ravens, so he has connections with the DMV. His recruiting is going to do wonders for Bethune-Cookman. Now, this job, as you pointed out, is not as easy as Jackson State to turn that around because of, they need more resources. But I think he's the man for the job. If there was any school that needed to make a splash hire like this, it's Bethune-Cookman. The second, Mississippi Valley State.
I agree with you on that. And I really do think it's going to come down to how much the university supports them. I think that was really overlooked in the whole Jackson situation is how much the support behind the scenes that the coaching staff got played into the success that you saw on the field. If you took that coaching staff and put them with the support and the resources at Valley or Bethune, I don't think it's the same narrative. And so it's going to be important for Ed Reed, and I'm sure it went into contract negotiations that he had to have some sort of guarantee that they're going to support him better than they did over the past few seasons for Terry Sims. That's got to be a conversation that he had to have before he took this job.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's what you call this kind of head coaching hire is called a blank check hire. Meaning you give Ed Reed what he wants. I think Ed Reed is aware enough to know the budget of Bethune. So he's willing, I think he's going to be willing to work with them, and they're going to be willing to work with him as well. Contract, assistance, what the field should look like. I'm excited for Bethune-Cookman. This is great news for the SWAC. I want the SWAC to be the most competitive conference in the FBS. I know it's a long way to go. I know there's other, Ohio Valley Conference and others that are elite. But one day I want to see the SWAC top tier in talent and coaching, and this is just a start.
I completely agree with you, DJ. Appreciate you calling in, man.
No doubt, man. Peace and blessings.
7612.
Appreciate you calling
live.
in, man. No doubt, man. Peace and blessings.
7612. You're live.
What's going on, Blue?
What's good, man?
Eric from New Jersey calling. I think it's a really dope. Hold on, I got my radio too hot. I think it's a really dope hire. One, because I'm so tired of people talking about Jackson State and Colorado. Oh my Lord, I'm so tired of it. Every time I come on YouTube, I'm like, can we talk about something else? But I think it's a really good hire. I think Ed Reed, from an X's and O's standpoint, he's an excellent hire. I thought that that was the person Jackson should have targeted the second Dion left. I know they said Ray Lewis was a big on the board, besides TC, which I think he'll do a good job. But I think Ed Reed is an excellent hire. And I think that, I think somebody said something about the facilities. I think that, because he's such a big name for the University of Miami, I think he'll be able to tap the pockets of that billionaire booster that's helping, that's buying all the recruits right now. I forget his name. That's doing Miami real justice on the NIL standpoint. So I think he'll be able to, that, like you said, they know the owner from the Baltimore Ravens. And I think that the resources, I think even though his name isn't like prime or anything like that, I think he is a big enough name that he can attract money to the school to create a space and to create space for the facilities and stuff like that. And I'm like, if I'm a DB, if I'm a safety, why wouldn't I want to play for Ed Reed? Like, he's excellent.
I'm with you there. And I really do think they could learn a little bit from the situation that just transpired. You mentioned, everyone's talking about it. And make sure Bethune sets themselves up to benefit financially from this. You know what I mean? Because everyone, hindsight's 2020, has been talking a lot about what all these other schools should have done. Bethune needs to now position themselves to do that and not repeat some of the mistakes that we've seen over the last few seasons. I think that's a big advantage that they have making this hire now after what we just saw transpire.
Absolutely. And to add to that, it really, I think one thing that goes missing in a lot of the HBCU space is people don't realize how much social currency they really have right now. And they can really make this thing blow up if they're smart about how they do it. And like you said, how Bethune sets themselves up contractually and everything else to protect themselves. Because if he does good, he's going to be the next target to leave. But I think he'll be there for a little bit longer because I think it'll be a little bit of a like you said, a bigger build. But yeah, absolutely.
Hey man, I appreciate you calling in and giving your thoughts. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right, I'm gonna go Mr. Campbell and then 5769. Mr. Campbell, you're live.
Blue, I love it. I just saw this. I'm super excited as an HBCU fan. Super excited because my daughter went to Bethune-Cookman. But here's a couple of things that I really like. And this is more like insider baseball type stuff. One of Ed's former teammates is Derek Crudup. Derek Crudup has one of the biggest prep schools down there in Florida. So Derek recruits all these kids that take that extra year, and then he sends those kids to the SEC. He sends those kids to the Big Ten. So now he can go right to Derek and say, hey, you give me kids that might not be swag worthy. They can come to Bethune. I'm telling you, that pipeline is already going to be open. I can guarantee that 100%. Then you got several of his teammates that I know for a fact are high school coaches in Florida that are in the mid-level. A lot of those guys went back to the Muck that are coaching. I can name about 4 or 5 of those guys that are in Central Florida that are coaches that played with Ed. So now Ed can go to these guys. So now the bottom line is, and I think people don't remember this, before Bethune-Cookman came to SWAC, which everybody was shocked, Bethune had won 15 straight SWAC games against SWAC opponents. They were actually the only HBCU team that beat Grambling the year Grambling went to the Celebration Bowl those back-to-back years. So it is not too far off for Bethune-Cookman to get players. So they've always been able to get players because it is Florida. Florida is going to be Florida. So if Ed can get those Florida players, he's got Steve Bashad. And I'll tell you another phone call if I was Ed. I would call the owner of Under Armour and say, hey, let's have Dion part 2. Let's flip these jerseys and let's get that pipeline going because the Under Armour owner and Steve Bashad are really good friends. So the amazing resource that Ed can bring to the table and flip that thing just that quick. I'm super excited. And just like somebody said, you know what? We had one coach that moved on. Now we got another storyline to talk about, which is very interesting. And Ed's background. And I'll tell you this too, Reggie Wayne, even though he would never leave the NFL, but Reggie Wayne's family went to Grambling. So he has people that have HBCU connections that are going to look. I'm telling you, that U family is going to incubate around Ed to try to make him successful. I guarantee. And the great thing about being in Daytona, all those guys stay between Palm Beach and Miami. So it's nothing for them to come up to Daytona and be down, stand on that sideline with Ed. So he's going to get all of these guys. He's going to get all these guys to come support him. So again, the hard work starts now, putting in your staff, getting players. But I'm just talking about for storylines as an HBCU alum and HBCU football fan, I'm super excited.
I'm pumped. I was talking to Urban, man, the Florida Classic is going to be insane this year. And over the next few years, as long as Ed and Willie get to go heads up, that's the lead up and build up of that's going to be insane. And I can't wait for it.
And Blue, one last thing, and then I'll go. So just like I'm laughing about the Eddiettes, Ed Reed has fans that go all the way back to the University of Miami. So that's Ed Reed's personal fan base. Man, they're going to be damn near as bad as the Primettes. So I'm going to be excited about just them acting a fool and coming in and joining the fray. So we can curse them out too. All right, Blue, have a good one, bro.
Appreciate you, Mr. Campbell. 5769, you live.
Hey, what's up, Blue?
What's good, man?
So I kind of have a few thoughts about this hire. I think for Bethune it's a good hire because at worst, if everything is equal in a recruiting battle in the SWAC, you're probably going to get that recruit because of every name. But I think the issue is the expectations are going to be too high, and I don't really think Every could reach that because he has to he's going to be compared to Dion, if we're being honest. And I don't think people realize this. Dion wasn't getting recruits because he played the NFL, because he was a Pro Bowler. He got a lot of recruits based off just his personality. He just gave off Hollywood. He had, he was on TV. He knew how to attract people, even the average football fan. I think, if we look at even the picture you have right now, we see how he looks. It's not really appealing. It doesn't attract people to you. And I just think that's going to be an issue when you talk about getting big time recruits. But I think for Bethune, this is the best hire they can make. If you could get someone like Every to take the job, we should offer it to him. But I'm just interested to see what he does.
Hey, man, I appreciate you calling in and giving your thoughts. I appreciate you.
All right, man.
5778, you're live.
Hey, what's going on? This Bison for Life call from the GC area.
What's up, man?
Great. As a MEAC guy, Howard guy, great hire. Always been a fan of Bethune-Cookman since the days of Larry Little and Sean Wyatt. It can only go up. I just hope they avoid the missteps we saw with the Jackson State thing, and I'll just hang up and listen. Take care.
Oh, yeah, I think he hung up before I got his question. Post your question in the chat. I didn't hear what you said, man. He kind of broke up. 7909, you're live.
What's going on, Blue? How you doing, man?
What's up, man? Hey, something else to talk about. It's nice.
You ain't kidding. But this is a phenomenal hire for Bethune-Cookman. I'm gonna say the same thing I said when Dion got hired. I hope he stays a while. 2 to 3 years is what the anticipation is, but I hope he sticks around long enough to do a lot of damage. But I know as a university, Bethune needs it. Hopefully get the enrollment up and things of that sort. And I think the football program is about to turn around for a little while, man, which will be a fun ride. The Florida Classic is about to be crazy again, which is going to be a joy to watch. And like Mr. Campbell said, the boys at the U are not going to let Ed Reed fail, because they're going to rally around and try to make him succeed. This is going to be a different ballgame than what it was with Dion. This is going to be interesting to watch.
I'm with you.
And I don't think this should be.
Go ahead.
And I'm not concerned about him not having the ability to get recruits, because sometimes the resume speaks for itself. Because he's a Hall of Famer too.
I'm with you. And I get why it's an easy comparison to compare him in prime, but I do urge people to try to not fall into that because it's so easy just to put the same expectations and say if he doesn't follow the exact blueprint that he's not doing it right. He doesn't need to be prime. He doesn't need to do anything that he did, man. Pave your own way because I'm sure the reason he got the job is because he sold a vision, sold an idea, and laid out the steps that he wants to take for Bethune Cookman. What works at Jackson is not always going to work for Bethune Cookman and vice versa. Do what works at your university, do what you think you need to do to be successful and pave your own path. I think it's way too easy just to say, oh, he should do exactly what prom did. Wow, pave his own way. He's also, like you said, he has his own cachet. He's a Hall of Fame player. He has his own path. I don't think this should be, I don't think he should walk hand in hand with what prom did.
And he's in Florida.
The connections are going to be crazy. The recruiting is going to be berserk, and I'm so excited to cover it because anybody that he pretty much wants in that South Miami area is coming to Bethune-Cookman with him. And like you said, I think the connection and the relationship with former Miami alums is going to add like a whole nother level, with what he can do on the recruiting trail for Bethune-Cookman.
It's gonna be interesting to watch. And now maybe Bethune will get a GM that's actually in the office and not coaching basketball now.
Now that's also the thing because they still got to hire an AD, right?
Yeah, that's the thing. Well, isn't the AD's the basketball coach? Isn't he doing both?
Are they going to keep it that way?
I hope not. But it'll be interesting to watch, man. I'm intrigued.
Oh, I am too. If anything, it reinvigorates, I think, the average fan's interest in all this, and so it should be interesting, man. But hey, I appreciate you calling in.
Yes, sir. Have a good one, Blue.
Yeah, there you go. I knew Mr. Campbell was going to come in with it. And man, I see the chat. 4409. I'm gonna come to you and probably be the last caller. Why are people already worried about when and how he's going to leave? The guy hasn't even had his intro press conference yet, and people are already concerned with when and why he's going to leave and being skeptical. Just let him come in and do his thing, and then we can judge it from there. I think it's way too crazy to already be talking about that he's going to be the next guy to jump to P5. He's going to do this and that. Like the dude hasn't even introduced himself as the head coach yet. Why are people talking about him leaving? That is crazy to me that people are already upset that he potentially might leave. Because if he comes in and doesn't sell you on anything, then why would you like, listen, take a deep breath. Let him come in, let him coach a game before we get all upset that he potentially may leave. Like everyone's got to take a deep breath here. That's crazy that we're already in the chat talking about when and why or potentially how he's going to leave. And he hasn't even coached a game. He hasn't even talked into a microphone since the announcement. That's crazy. 4409, you're live.
Hey, what's going on, Blue? How's it going tonight, man?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good.
Good, man. I was just calling in, just wanted to let you know that this news hasn't reached Canada yet, so I just wanted to thank you for posting this. This is breaking news for me right now. So I actually think it's a good hire. I'm not going to stay long because I know you probably have a lot of callers on, but I just wanted to know if you think this is too late as far as recruiting goes. Thanks, and have a good night.
Hey, appreciate you. Sound a little salty in this comment. That's what y'all are crazy. I'll just say this. You're crazy. But anyway, there's always a few people in the chat. Jesus Christ. But no, I don't think it's too late. There are thousands of people in the transfer portal. And there's plenty of people who still have their recruitment wide open. And as long as he puts together a good staff and talks and makes some sort of connection with recruits, it'll be fine. He has all the way till February 15th-ish, 12th-ish to make it to make a recruiting class, put it together. He'll be fine. As long as he lands a handful of recruits that are good and solid, can potentially talk some recruits to staying on the roster, year one will be okay. I don't think it's too late. It is starting a little bit behind the 8 ball, but I do think he has the ability to potentially make up some room. Not evil. Okay. I was like, man, we're just out here breaking news. He said got the timeout button on. Nah, man, we're good. We're good. But listen, Ed Reed is going to be named the next head coach for Bethune-Cookman. He's and for all the people who haven't tuned in, his experience came. I'll take Coach Green's call. Hang on, Coach Green. I'll get you. Last caller got to be Coach Green. Coach Green, you're live, shutting down the show, man.
Man, what it do, Blue?
Man, hey, love this. I coming off of the holidays, I was so tired of the narrative talk and everything, and I'm just like, I'm ready to talk recruiting, and then this broke. Feeling good. I'm really, really excited for this.
Man, I'm happy for it too, man. Because Reggie Theus showed y'all that he was doing something behind the scenes. He wouldn't just. It's all his concentration was just on his basketball team. And that lets you know he got a good staff around him too, because he able to maneuver like that as long as you got a good assistance around you. So yeah, I like this hire, man.
I do too. I really do. I know there's still some people who are skeptical, and I get it. And that's why I'm trying to reiterate. I don't think he's going to win the SWAC year one or year two. This is a rebuild. But if he comes out, wins 4 or 5 games this year, competes for the East next year, let's say with like 7, 8 wins, potentially by year 3, if he has Bethune as a contender, that's a hell of a rebuild. I think he'll be just fine. There's no way he can't recruit. We know he's going to recruit. All that's left up to I would say the imagination is who's going to be on his staff. And I trust with his connections that he can put together a solid staff, in my opinion. But I think there's too many people putting unrealistic expectations and are saying, oh, everyone's overreacting. It's like, I don't think anybody thinks he's winning the SWAC this year.
Yeah. Hey, I say this though. I know some of them FBS teams are happy that he got hired at this time and not earlier.
Oh yeah. Yeah, 1,000%. Could you imagine if this would happen 2 years ago?
Man, there'd be some upset FBS coaches, because he would have flipped some of these recruits, man. He would now, I ain't gonna say he gonna get a whole bunch of 5-star. He probably would have flipped one like Dion did. Probably flipped one 5-star, got a bunch of 4-stars and 3s.
Well, I think I don't see him, like you said, I don't see him coming out here and just landing 5 stars all over the place. But I think people forget, man, if you're landing, look at what because Campbell might be a bad example because they haven't won anything. But man, look at all the top teams in the FCS. It's all the the FCS recruiting rankings are kind of overrated, man. If you can recruit solid talent out of the transfer portal and develop high schoolers, you're winning at this level. It's all you have to do. Just if Ed Reed goes out there and lands a bunch of good 3 and lower 4 stars out of Florida and develops them, and then lands some big transfer portal targets, they're going to be hard to beat, because that's all it takes to win at the FCS level is development, and then being able to fill out your holes in the transfer portal. That is the key to winning at the FCS level.
Hey, but I'm gonna say this though, because this was people ain't really realizing. I ain't gonna say they're gonna win it, but their defense wasn't terrible and their offense wasn't terrible. And some of them guys returning it on both sides.
It's going to come down, like, I would imagine, okay, if I'm a Bethune-Cookman player, Kamari Everett's going to the draft, Amari Hill-Robinson teased the transfer portal. I don't think, I don't personally think he's entered the portal yet, but he was teasing it. If he
he hasn't. But he was on Twitter recently and he loves the hire.
Well, there you go. So he's staying. If you can just take some of the guys from the portal that entered that you want to keep on your roster, man, that's the start. Roster management, making sure no one else transfers is the key, and then recruiting a quarterback. We've talked about it
Yeah,
over and over again.
That's the biggest. That's the biggest right there. Quarterback.
And there's some good ones. There are some really good quarterbacks in the portal. And so I think he'll be just fine. There are there's plenty of players in the portal, and they're still entering. If I'm not mistaken, I think the window's still open. So
it is.
Who knows?
And then don't forget that QB Stokes still out there. His scholarship got pulled.
Yeah, and I mean, even players who haven't signed can be flipped to Bethune-Cookman too. So he'll be fine. If he can just get a manageable quarterback year one, he'll be just fine. I think Bethune, like you said, Bethune has some talent. They had a solid running back in Keyshawn Bird, had one of the best tight end, had probably the best tight end in the SWAC in Kamari Everett. Their offensive line was decent. They had the biggest concern for Bethune this year was they lost a lot of talent from the defensive line and linebacker unit from 2021 to 2022. I don't think they've replaced the impact that those guys had. And the secondary was pretty solid. They had some really talented guys. Now, if I'm not mistaken, Jaden Hodge, the 3-star transfer from Penn, went back into the portal. I would imagine
he might come back out.
You could probably pull him back into the fray at Bethune-Cookman. That's going to be the start, is to see who he convinces to stay at Bethune-Cookman for me.
I know a lot of people, a lot of people was worried about Bethune, man, because they're like, man, they ain't hired no coach yet. And right after Christmas, what they do?
It was worth the wait. It was worth the wait. I'll put that out there. It was worth the wait. And I know everyone was worried because I don't blame Bethune-Cookman fans for hitting the panic button. All these other coaching searches were ending. You don't make a single signing on early signing day, I'd be panicking too. But I think it paid off in the long run. They made the right hire, and we'll see what happens, in the coming days. I'm interested for the contract because I can't imagine he's the highest paid coach in the SWAC or anything like that. But the more important thing for me is the assistant pool money and who he can convince to come in and work with them, because you can't sell the assistants on money, but you can sell them on the vision of what your program is going to be and potential opportunities down the line for them.
Well, the thing you got to look at, it's all about relationships, because that's how, Coach Prime got the staff he was able to get over there to Jackson. So, and I know his Rolodex is deep.
That's a fact.
So, it's going to be interesting.
I know some people have thrown out, I'll just say, if he brings in Warren Sapp as a D-line coach or Ray Lewis as the linebacker coach, the recruiting in Florida is going to be nauseating. I mean, it's going to be so unfair that it's not even funny. You know what I mean?
So you think the same how mad the fans at FSU was at Dion for flipping Travis? You see Miami fans being mad at Ed Reed like that?
No. And, okay, well, it depends. I don't know. Is Ed Reed going to flip the number one player in the country from Miami? I don't know. We'll see. But based on him working at Miami and coaching there and being very, very involved in the program, I can only imagine that Miami fans are really, really happy he got the opportunity. And to be honest, I just got onto the chat for this, but they probably, if he's successful, we know what's going to happen. They're going to be like, bring Ed Reed home. But I think they're going to support him. I really do think you're going to see a lot of Miami fans support Bethune-Cookman just because, just because of Ed Reed. I think that personally,
I would say this. Since you said that, the pressure's on Mario Cristobal.
That's a fact. It was already on before this. That's a whole nother show.
Yeah.
I got some takes. Listen, I'm supposed to have Uncle Luke on the show in the coming weeks. Trust me, all the Miami talk will be answered on that episode.
Oh man, it gonna be so every year he gonna be on the hot seat because if Ed Reed winning at BCU, he gonna have to win at Miami because the call's gonna start Bring him home. Bring him home. If he ain't winning.
I just can't wait for the Florida Classic. I'm just telling you, that's that's the number one game I'm looking forward to this year, because you give Ed Reed what? No, the 12 game mandate starts next year for FCS. My bad. I would like to see 10 games into the season, Ed Reed's team gelling. You potentially have FAMU battling for a SWAC championship position. I can't wait for that. I really can't.
Hold on, you say 12
already
games what?
Do what?
You say 12 games. 12 games mandate start next year for who?
The FCS.
They going to 12?
Yeah. For I think it's 24, 25. It might be 23, 24. I don't remember off the top of my head, but they're going to shift in for they're shifting for 12 games at the FCS level.
Wow, that is huge.
I don't understand why they haven't done that. It's so dumb that the fact that they weren't letting FCS schools play more than that, but I'm glad they did it.
I think because of the playoffs.
Yeah. Okay, there it is. It's 2024, 2025. So next year, 2 years from now, it'll be 12 games. But this year, I think the storylines are going to be endless. And like I talked about earlier, I think this was the best thing for the SWAC, because there were a lot of, we knew the Mr. Campbells, the people who have been around for a while everyone was excited. All the media coverage was still excited because there were still so many storylines to talk about. But I think the average fan needed this to kind of stick around, to be honest with you. And I think that's good, because I still think that's SWAC Media's Day is going to be berserk with this.
Oh yeah, it's going to be berserk, because the storyline will be every TC Taylor recruiting class. Of course, Grambling, Hugh Jackson going to do his second year. Of course, what Ed Dooley going to do his second year. It's going to be crazy. Can Willie Simmons win it since Dion gone now? So it's a bunch of storylines, bro.
And TC recruiting like he's doing? Oh, God. It's going to be so much fun, because I think we know the West is going to be insane. I've already said it's going to be a bloodbath between PV, Southern, Texas Southern, potentially Grambling. I mean, Alcorn got a new quarterback too, and is bringing back Jarvion Howard. I mean, the West is going to be pure insanity week in and week out. Let's just not even say it happens this year. Next year, you got FAMU with Willie Simmons, TC Taylor year 2 after a year building his program, Ed Reed year 2 building his program, Alabama A&M with Connell Maynard, we know what he is, Eddie Robb in year 2 and year 3 with Demetrius Davis potentially at quarterback, and that defense reloaded. Man, it's going to be must-see TV every single weekend.
And look, you just added some more storylines just that quick after what I said. You added some more.
I'm pumped. Listen, I wish SWAC Media Day was tomorrow. Because you know me,
no,
man.
You can go. The
I hate the off
storylines
season.
is writing itself.
Yeah, I mean, you know me. I hate the off season. I need 2023 to roll on over here, man, because I'm ready to talk more football. I'm ready to get to media day, lead up into the season. Man, this all season is going to drag on for me. I'm nauseous thinking about the January, February, March, April, May months. It's going to be brutal for me.
You know what? I'm curious to see what the press conference is going to be like. Is Ed Reed going to cut his hair, or is he going to keep the long beard, long hair look regardless?
I don't think he cares. I don't think Bethune-Cookman cares. Bethune-Cookman is really not want in a position to tell him to cut it, to be honest with you.
Oh, no, they ain't
who cares, man? Like, let him keep his beard. Why does that matter? I'll have a beard. Like, other coaches have beards. Let him grow his beard out. Why does it matter?
Mm-hmm. Cause he like the iconic nappy look now.
I personally think they should let him keep it. Just me.
Oh, but like you said, they ain't no position to tell him what to do with his hair anyway. It's like, Jack State did tell Dion that he couldn't be the talking person that he is.
Yeah.
So
I'm pumped, man, and I'm really, really excited. But Coach Green, appreciate you calling in, man. I'm gonna get to this last caller real quick.
All right.
1112. You're live.
Hello?
What's up, man? You're live.
Yo, Blue, what's going on, man?
Hey, man, doing good, doing good. How about you?
Man, I'm great, bro. I hope you had a great Christmas, and I hope you have a prosperous New Year. But I wanted to ask you this question real quick, Blue. You have been keeping up with FCS/HBCU recruiting, right?
Yeah.
Okay, answer me this. Who has the number one HBCU recruiting class?
So I'm not going to answer that on here because I want to try to keep it on Bethune, but I am listen, I am working behind the scenes because I've received like 10 DMs of people wanting me to release recruiting rankings. I'm working behind the scenes, kind of trying to get all the data together, make sure I make the right decision. I am going to release on a live stream in the next 2 weeks early signing day rankings for the FCS, the swag, MEAC, everything like that. So that's coming. It just won't be on this episode, man. But I'm gonna bring back the mailbags, and that's the first topic on the first mailbag of 2023 for sure.
You know what? That was like kind of like a rhetorical question because I know all the hype is trending right now on Twitter. Who's the head coach at Bethune-Cookman? But that was a rhetorical question, really, because everybody and their mama know. Do y'all love, baby? Jackson State, Jacktown, Mississippi, baby. Everybody know who got the number one recruiting class. So before y'all get hyped over there in Daytona, man, realize who still have the number one recruiting class 3 years in a row. That's all I got for you, Blue, man. Keep doing your thing, man.
Hey, appreciate you calling in, man.
Yes, sir. No problem. All right, bye.
Oh, man.
Hey, appreciate you
2672.
Yes, sir.
You're
no
live.
Problem. All right, oh, bad. Hey, appreciate you 2672. Yes, sir. You're live. Oh, bad.
2672. You're live. All right, not happening. But listen, guys, appreciate you tuning in. I'm gonna try to have all the updated information. Oh my lord. All right, I gotta get to JB, but 3363, you're live.
Hey Blue, how you doing?
Hey man, doing good. I know you're having a solid day today.
Actually, I've really been out of town all week long. I've actually been out of town since yesterday. I'm actually checking in on my mom, who actually is recovering from gallbladder surgery. So I got the text messages, and I'm going to say I'm excited as of right now. But well, you know me, I'm always very skeptical. My thing is this: we got the big name, that's good, and for what I've been told, Steve Piscotty, former owner of the Ravens, is probably one of the richest owners in all of the NFL. So I think resources will be coming our way. I just hope that we get the players and the players translate into wins. That's the big thing. Hopefully with him having ties, that'll help us with attendance, getting attendance into the audience to our home games. But hopefully the players come. I just wish it would have happened earlier because we missed our early signing day. But hopefully that players come, and hopefully we get the results come on the field. I mean, it's like I'm excited, yes, but I'm tempered because I don't want to put the horse the cart ahead of the horse. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. I mean, so I got to ask you, because you're my Bethune guy here, and I was really hoping you would call in on this episode. Do you have any opinion on the staff on who you would like to see come with Ed Reed and coach at Bethune-Cookman next season?
Not as of yet. I know everything here is like speculation, of course, like former coaches' names, like former alumni and stuff. But of course, Reed's going to probably have, Coach is going to have his own own people coming in too. So everything is speculation at this moment. I'm not even hearing any names. So like I said, I've kind of been off the loop for the last like 48 hours or so. But I'll do some digging, see what I could find out, and hopefully we get some stuff coming in soon. But as of right now, I'm not exactly sure who the names are going to be for assistant coaches. I just know we have the head coach, and I think all the other names will come in as time progresses.
Now, I do have to ask. I don't know because
Sure.
you're kind of more in tune with Bethune's kind of alumni base. With Ed Reed being the coach, do you think you guys try to negotiate a game in Miami and play a non-conference game, or try to move one of the SWAC games down to Miami to play in I forgot what the Dolphin Stadium's even, Hard Rock?
Yeah, Hard Rock, yes. Honestly, off the record, Blue, I hate neutral site games because I think they take the reference away from a home game. But if they did try to get a neutral site game down at Hard Rock Stadium, I wouldn't be surprised. It would actually make sense. But I also think that Jacksonville might be more of a target also because Jacksonville is closer to Daytona than Miami is. So neutral site games, I wouldn't be surprised if they're not on the horizon. Personally, I'm not a fan of them because they take away home games, but that's just my 2 cents.
And I know the chat in here's freaking out. Listen, guys, I knew they played Miami. I was talking about moving a SWAT game similar to like Jackson and Bethune moving to Jacksonville, because I think the attendance would be crazy to have Ed Reed come back to Miami, and I'm sure they would be open to it just because of who he is.
Now, I do remember that our first ever FBS game we played was in 2011. That was against University of Miami in that same stadium. And our first FBS win came against FIU, also in Miami. And Blue, the fun thing about that game is we had more fans in attendance than FIU did. So if there's a game down in Miami, no doubt the Dade and Broward and Palm Beach County Wildcat alumni will be there in full force.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. You guys brought more people than FIU, to be honest with you. I'm not surprised at all, man. But prayers up to your mom, man, and I appreciate you calling in. And I'm excited to see what the staff's going to be like and what Bethune-Cookman does over these next few years.
Yeah, bro. One of my lady friends sent me a message saying that my name was brought. I myself home, so I'm gonna go call her right quick. And so first I thought it was Scotty. I think myself, wait a minute, I know folks are not calling me by name. So I saw the YouTube started Bluebloods. I said, oh, Bluebloods. I said, oh, Blue Sky Show. So I said, okay, let me just call him right quick and just check on him, see how he's doing.
Hey, man, I appreciate you. Appreciate you calling in.
No problem. Thanks, Blue.
All right, guys, we ended it on my guy, JB. He's my Bethune-Cookman guy. And so we had to get at least one Bethune-Cookman caller. We closing down the call lines now. Listen, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Roundtable coming back this week. I got a lot more content coming to your guys' way. Any information I hear on Ed Reed for Bethune-Cookman, I will be dropping it on the channel and the website, thebluebloodspod.com. But until next time, guys, the Blue Bloods are out.